Very good to see that you beat expectations, and that's to the business's credit, of course. But we sit here in a very fragile environment with stocks selling off across the world on fears around coronavirus. Utilities have been relatively resilient, but even they have been sold off in Europe this week. What fears do you have for a business like yours around coronavirus?
So the first concern is, of course, the safety of our employees, and we make sure that we encourage them to stay at home in places where the impact is, although I would say that many of our offices are not in the most impacted areas at this stage. You know, when I look at it financially, we have a business model that is very multi-local. And so when I take everything into account, at this stage, it doesn't look like there's a material impact. You know, I look at our direct China exposure, which is very limited, if I look at the supply chain, and then, of course, also the impact on commodity prices and foreign exchange. You put it all together, quite frankly, at this stage, it doesn't look like a material impact, but we will, of course, follow closely the developments
and how things develop in Europe. Yeah, Matt.
Well, I wonder what your supply chain does look like. Do you rely on factories in China to produce equipment like solar panels, like wind turbines, or any other energy equipment?
So yes, we do, but when you look at the bulk of our business in terms of networks, generation, and then also client solutions, all three of those are very, very local businesses. So networks would, of course, be impacted by commodity price movements. But like I said earlier, when I take it all together, commodity prices and foreign exchange at this stage, it's completely immaterial to the company. Client solutions, energy efficiency, very local companies where you would buy spare parts, but a much smaller extent and very spread in terms of supply chain. And then, of course, your question on solar panels and on wind. There is a certain impact, but quite frankly, solar is still a relatively small part of the company. And if we had an impact for a few weeks, then we would you would not see it in a company with 6 billion euros of COI.
Tell me what we should expect from the business going forward then, because Isabel Kocher was busy trying to divest, or she was divesting fossil fuel assets, pivoting towards renewables, which, given the current zeitgeist, seems like the way for an energy business to be going. What changes then after she's left?
So we're still very committed to the strategy of being a leader in the energy transition. We have three major business lines that I've just talked about, which is, of course, renewables with decades to come of investment. We have our infrastructure business, which is the perfect complement to renewables, and then, of course, energy conservation, energy efficiency. So those are three areas where we're leaders. We had great opportunities last year to invest in each of these organically, but also we made some meaningful acquisitions. You've heard about our Brazil acquisition in networks, very significant. We've added 12% of pipelines to our portfolio last year. We added 800 million of revenue on client solutions with a full year impact of 1.5. And on renewables, we quadrupled our commissioning, so our wind exposure, which is quite frankly a huge step up, which is why we're going so confident into 2020.